Said, we are prepared to proceed. Mr. LaPrince, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Judge. We would call Lieutenant Reedy to stand.
Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat. Once you're seated, if you'll remove your mask, make sure you speak into the microphone, keep your voice up so we can hear your testimony.
Good morning, sir. If you would just push that screen it's forward. Note the whole thing, the whole arm moves. Yeah, there you go. That way the attorneys can see you and we can all see you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. If you would introduce yourself to the jury by telling them your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Brandon Reedy, R-E-E-D-Y.
And how are you employed?
I work for the Akron Fire Department,
How long have you been with the Akron Fire Department?
currently about 16 and a half years.
All right. And do you have what's your current title or rank?
I'm currently a lieutenant. I'm a company officer. That means on a daily basis I'm in charge of a piece of fire apparatus and 3 to 7 employees.
All right. Prior to working for the Akron Fire Department for the last 16 years,
16 and a half.
did you have any other firefighting experience?
I worked for Jackson Township Fire Department on a part-time basis about a year and a half prior to getting hired at Akron.
All right. And so that the jurors know, we've had prior firefighters come in and testify about the qualifications. So I'm going to have you just briefly tell us what training you went through in order to become a firefighter.
Akron puts all hires, whether they're certified or not, through a 15-week academy where they go over the state minimum training. The state will say that you need to dedicate X number of hours to a certain topic. Typically, if that was something they're doing on their own through university or a private charter, that would take about 8 weeks. Akron Fire does 15. That way you get more hands-on time and there's more repetition.
All right, so the state requires 8.
260 hours is what the state requires.
All right, but in order to be an Akron firefighter, you have to do 16.
Typically, I use 15 weeks or so. It's a sliding scale. I mean, once you meet the minimum standard, the state says you're good. Depending on what we have available as far as funding and time-wise, Akron goes between 12 and 15 weeks.
All right, and so you did that for the Akron. Did you also go through a training for your prior
I did.
experience?
So I went through the 8-week training prior to that. Like I said, Akron, because they host their own fire academy, you may have a class that has 25% of people who are already certified, but they've never worked at Akron. So Akron puts everyone through the same thing, so there's some uniformity when you come out and you're done.
So you've had more than the minimum 8, you've had at least 20 weeks.
Of basic firefighting, yes.
Okay. So when you started with the Akron Fire Department, you initially were on I think you call it an apparatus?
So we use the term apparatus, truck, equipment, kind of interchangeably. An apparatus would be a fire truck or an ambulance. So we use like truck, equipment, apparatus somewhat interchangeably.
All right. And so currently you are now the responsible fireman, the lieutenant in charge of a particular piece of equipment.
Yes.
Which type of equipment are you in charge of?
So like right now, actually, I'm on what they call it ops. So I'll float around. I'm kind of the substitute teacher. If people are off on vacation, I'll go in and fill at a different station.
All right. And how long have you been a lieutenant?
I've been a lieutenant for 6 years.
Okay. So let me direct your attention specifically back to April 18th, 2016. You were obviously working at that time as an Akron fireman, correct?
Yes.
And were you a lieutenant at that time?
I was a lieutenant. I was assigned to Station 6, so I was on Engine 6 that time.
And where is Station 6?
South Hawkins, I believe it's 1685 South Hawkins.
All right. Is that where you're currently stationed also?
My home base right now is Station 4, the headquarters Station 81 West Thornton. But depending again on staffing, I may be at Station 6, I may be at Station 13.
All right. So in April of 2016, you were at Station 6?
Correct.
On South Hawkins,
On a full-time basis.
on a full-time basis. And what was your assignment at that time?
I was a company officer for Station 6. At the time, Station 6 is what we call cross-manned, so we're cross-staffed. We would have 4 people on the engine, and then the ambulance there would have 4 people on it as well. So if the ambulance went on a call, all 4 personnel would hop on the ambulance, and the engine would be there with no one to get on it.
All right. And so not only you're a fireman, you're an EMT also?
Paramedic, yes.
Okay. On that particular occasion, April 18th, 2016, were you working?
Yes.
Which shift, or how do you guys work shifts?
So we divide the shifts into 3 line personnel shifts, the A shift, B shift, and C shift. We work a 24-hour shift and then rotate off for 48 hours. The A, B, or C just kind of notes a way to track it.
Okay. And so you work 24 hours, and do the shifts all start at the same time?
Correct. The shift starts at 7:30 in the morning. We work 24 hours, and we leave the next day at 7:30 in the morning.
All right. So on April 17th, you would have started at 7:30 in the morning if you were working April 18th at
Correct.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? Okay. And do you remember the particular equipment you were working on that occasion?
So we had Engine 6, our normal frontline engine, and we had a med unit at the station as well.
And what was the second thing you said?
Ambulance.
Oh, an ambulance, okay. And so what type of, you said an engine, what's that, how does that differ from your other equipment, like, a ladder?
Okay, so I mean, in the fire service, there's 2 basic types of trucks. There's an engine that carries water and hose, and then there's a fire truck or the ladder truck that has ladders and the big ladder on top. They're kind of broken down on job responsibilities. The engine, having water and hose, is primarily responsible for fire suppression. The ladder truck, because they don't have water or hose, they do search and rescue. They control utilities. They put ladders up, and they do all the other functions.
So the equipment you were on that occasion was fighting the fire, suppressing?
Correct. Okay. Fire suppression.
Do you recall on that occasion of April 18th, 2016, having to go on a call?
Yes.
What time would you have gotten that call?
Approximately 3:40. If you have the dispatch notes, I can give you an exact time.
Yes. Oops. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, sir. So the call, we were initially dispatched, which means the tone came across the PA at 3:40 in the morning.
And that is the tone you talked about, that comes into the fire station?
Correct. So, I mean, the process is, I mean, someone dials 911, someone in dispatch answers, gets the information, relays it to a dispatcher, and the dispatcher notifies us.
All right, and that's by a tone?
Yeah, there'll be an audible alarm, and then the dispatcher come across, they read off the address, the nature of the call, and any information they may have at the time.
So you said they came in around 3:40?
Correct.
And how long, is there a standard amount of time that your unit then takes or is, required to get ready in time to leave?
So the national standard for turnout time from the time the dispatch call comes in until we leave the station is approximately 1 minute.
All right, and is that pretty much followed routinely with the Akron Fire Department?
Yes.
All right. So I know you were probably not timing yourself during this occasion, but is there any reason to think that you weren't just on your way within that minute or so?
No, if you look at the times, it's a little skewed because since it's a voice dispatch system, you can't talk on the radio and while the dispatchers are talking. So when we got dispatched and we started going en route, they received multiple calls, so they upgraded the call. So the notes kind of reflect that like 3:41, there's a second tone going out for more units. So we would have been en route then, we just couldn't respond back.
Okay, and so you said that there was another tone for more units. So how does that work?
So typically, the first call, if it doesn't, depending on how the caller sounds, dispatch it as like a house fire 1 or a house fire 2, and each classification is kind of a preset number of units dispatched. When they start getting multiple calls, people calling with the same fire in the same area, it upgrades to a house fire 2 and they add more units.
All right, so that means a 2 would be more serious,
Correct.
more equipment needed.
Yes,
All right, and so this was that occasion.
correct.
So you're on your way. Do you know what time you would have arrived on scene?
We arrived on scene at 3:44.
All right, and that's 3:44 a.m.
Correct.
All right, or military time.
Yes.
What address did you go? What address did you get dispatched to?
I believe it's 719 Fultz.
And is that in the city of Akron, Summit County, Ohio?
Yes, sir.
All right. I am going to show you some slides here from State's Exhibit 37, which was previously identified by Ellis Polk. I'm going to show you slide number 2. Do you recognize this?
Can I adjust
Oh,
this?
yeah, I'm sorry. Now you can turn it towards you.
Okay. Yeah, that's the address or the street sign for Fultz and Hillcrest.
All right, so that would be the intersection.
Closest to the house was on fire.
All right, so do you see that house behind the sign?
I do.
Do you recognize that house at all? If you don't, that's
I
okay.
do not.
All right. So moving, slide number 3 of 21, slide number 3 of State's Exhibit 37 is a title page indicating the exterior of 719 Fultz.
Okay.
So we're going to go now to slide 4. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And that slide also identifies slide D, I believe, in the lower right corner. What is that?
That is a picture of 719 Fultz after the fire has been put out. That'd be the approximate view that we had when we arrived on scene. You can see the front side of the building. In our terminology, we use Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta to kind of segment off which side of the building it is. Right, left, front doesn't work really well when you're inside the building. If I'm talking to someone on the inside and I say left, they may be facing a different direction, so we use Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, with Alpha being the front of the house.
So right now, the front of the house we're looking at is the Alpha side, correct?
Correct.
All right, and you said this was clearly after the fire had been put out?
Yeah, obviously there's no flame, but you can also see people on the inside, and we don't have their air packs on. If the house was actually actively burning, then it'd be hot and there'd be poisonous gases, and they'd be wearing their air packs.
I see. So let me show you what's been previously identified as State's Exhibit number 16. Okay. I know that there's a glare, but can you see that?
I can see it.
And you've seen this prior to this scene
Yes.
here now. Do you recognize this?
719 Fultz.
All right. And how do you recognize that?
It's a rough approximation of what we saw pulling up. Our view would be from the opposite direction. We were coming down Fultz. That picture appears to be being taken going up Fultz.
All right. And so in this photograph, since you said your view initially was from the other direction, did you have an opportunity to compare this to the pictures of the known pictures of the dress you saw and fought the fire?
Correct.
Okay. So when you arrived on the scene, and if you need to, right in front of you, on next to the microphone is a pointer.
Okay.
Push the button on that pointer, there should be a green dot that
Yes.
shows up. If you can, show us what direction you arrived on scene.
So Station 6 would have been to the upper right of this picture. So we came up Moore Street, came down East Avenue here, and turned down Fultz.
All right. Now, was there some issues with getting closer to the house initially?
So when we first pulled up, there was a power line down in the front yard. From where it attaches to the house, because of the bulk of the fire, that had burned away, dropping the lines into the front yard, burning off the coating, so they were actually sparking in the front yard.
All right. And so that power line was live,
Correct.
and it was across the street?
It was across the street, and it kind of bisected the front yard here.
Okay. And
So it kind of limited our operations to the left-hand side of the building.
All right. And so did another unit come the other direction?
Correct. Engine 4 came up from Fulton Street approximately this way.
All right. And does that hinder your ability to fight a fire?
It does. I mean, typically we like to have access to all 4 sides. The initial truck will usually be the one that pull the hose lines off of. So it kind of bisects the yard, prevents engine 6 from going to that side of the yard. It also limits how close we can get to it. I mean, water and electricity don't mix. And even a power line on the ground on dirt, the electricity can travel through the dirt depending on how the moisture content, and we're throwing water at the house, so we still have to kind of maintain like a 20-foot distance from that line.
And when you arrived at the house, can you describe how I guess engulfed it was?
So there was pretty heavy fire involvement from the alpha side, the front porch area. We could see it burning under the porch, and kind of you saw in that picture, it was rolling outside the porch. When we had arrived, though, it was actually a little bit worse, and it's kind of burning up the outside structure of the alpha side.
All right, and I want to just, unfortunately, go back to this other picture here for a second. So when we look at this picture and see this area right here,
Correct.
is that the house or is it?
That's the house next door. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the edge of the flame, you can kind of see where it curves. That's where it's rolling out from underneath the porch. The decking of the porch allows it to roll out and over. Kind of on the right-hand side of the picture, you can see the tall part of the flame too.
Now, I believe, Judge, can he draw on that as it is now?
He can.
So you can actually, with your finger, draw.
Okay.
Up in the right-hand corner, up top, sorry, should be. You may have to allow for. Let's see, oh, there we go. Oh, yep, and then from there should be a highlighter or on the,
Right.
that's, yeah.
So the roof line is going to roughly be this general area right there. The portion next to it that you're indicating is another house.
Okay. So from this picture, when you arrived, was it more or less engulfed than you see in this picture?
There is more.
Okay. Now, of course, this is on the...
From the opposite direction.
All right. So you arrive on scene, and when you arrive on the scene...
Lieutenant, so hit that, and then there's a clear all button. There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And after the fire was over, and just because I wanted, while we still have this picture up, were you able to observe the delta side of the house?
Yes.
Or the right side of the house? And was there a door on that right side?
Yes.
And could you point to where you believe in this photograph that door would have been?
The door will be roughly over in here, I believe. It's kind of hard to tell spatial relationships, but it was kind of on the driveway side. There was a red fence around it, kind of leading into the entrance.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
And is this, poster board up here have marked for something that he's referred to already?
Oh, yes, that is 12.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so back to our slides of State's Exhibit number 37. When you get there, you showed us which direction you come. What's the first thing you guys do?
The first thing I do as a company officer is I give a size up, I report on scene, I get on the radio and report what kind of conditions we have, and then we kind of denote what we're going to do, what type of measure we're going to take to attack the fire. On this fire, we took a blitz attack. So what that means is typically on a normal fire where it's smaller, we take the hose line in initially and put the fire out immediately. Because the bulk of the fire that was occurring, it's not safe for us to make entry. We have a pre-plumbed waterway on our truck, kind of like a turret almost, that doesn't involve stretching hose line. It flows a large volume of water. So we chose to implement a blitz attack, trying to knock down the amount of fire, so that way we could pull the hoses off and make an interior attack.
All right, when you're dispatched, are you made aware of whether there's individuals inside the house or not?
Typically, yes.
And were you on this occasion?
We were.
And so when you arrive, why don't you just all jump off the truck and run inside to save these people?
So again, obviously with the bulk of the fire, it's pretty massive. Our turnout gear protects us some from heat, but it's not flame proof. Typically the outside shell of your turnout gear is about 900 degrees it's rated to. The plastic face piece on your SBA is about 400 degrees. Open free burning flame like that's about 1200 degrees. We would go in and pretty much immediately be compromised.
All right. So at that point in time, you got to suppress the fire to some degree in order to even get inside.
Correct.
All right. And that's what you said you did with the blitz attack?
Yes, the blitz attack is just, it's supposed to be a rapid way to bring a large volume of water onto the fire to cool it and put the flames out.
All right. And so is there a point in time where you believe you can get into these houses? How do you determine that?
So it's kind of a judgment call based on what you're seeing on scene. With this fire, because it kind of spread so intensively inside the structure, we blitz attacked it, we dumped our tank on it. The engines in Akron carry 500 gallons of water on the truck. That way we don't need to immediately hook up to a hydrant. It gives us some time to get water on the fire quickly. So we did the blitz attack, we dumped our tank on it. I believe engine 4 did as well. We hook up to a hydrant. Again, that was hindered because we had to go kind of out and around the down power line. At that time when we had water again, there was still a lot of fire on the back half of the structure. So we didn't have access again to the door on the Delta side. So we took hose lines, as you can kind of see in this picture, down the Bravo side, and we're spraying windows, second floor window on the front, and then the kind of bay window you see on the Bravo side.
And I'm not sure if you would say this or not. Were you and your unit the first on the scene?
Correct.
Okay. So once the other, well, and I should ask you, what other equipment showed up that day?
So engine 6 was first on scene. Engine 4 coming up the hill showed up approximately about a minute and a half later. Behind engine 4 would have been ladder 4. And then other apparatus showed up, tower 10, and then kind of gets cut off here, but there are other apparatus on scene.
All right. So within a minute and a half, you had an engine that was fighting the fire on
The Delta side.
the Delta side and the B side.
Correct.
Okay. Showing you slide 5 or letter E of State's Exhibit 37. What is this?
It's the Bravo side. It's kind of where our operations were limited to at first. You can kind of see how the fire burned up the Bravo side and towards the roof line. We also had a decent amount of fire on the inside of this back corner. Back in here would have been the living room. Most of building construction in Akron is pretty similar. You have a bay window like that. 99% of the time it's a dining room. There is a decent bulk of fire in there as well. We're spraying water in there too.
All right, and we'll get to some photos there. Showing you now slide 6 or letter F of State's Exhibit 37. And this would again be a similar photograph.
And in this photo you can kind of see where the power line is down in the front yard. By this time I believe Edison was on scene and had disconnected the power.
Okay. And actually in this photograph, you can see some lights on the inside of the house. Is that what that is?
Yeah, referencing the top left corner of the home?
Yeah, I guess I'm not. I thought my marker was showing, but it's not. Yes.
So, roughly here?
Right.
That would have been firefighters inside the structure.
All right. So that's how badly it was burned that you can actually see people inside through the walls.
Correct.
And there, I think, is a more close-up view. Is that fair?
Yes.
And this area here looks to be completely open. What would that area have been?
That would have been where the porch roof was attached.
And that's slide 7 of State's 37. And going now to slide 8, what are we looking at here?
You're looking at the Alpha side, Alpha Delta corner. That would be typically the front door. You can see the railing there, and you can see the remnants of the porch after it collapsed.
All right. And slide 9.
Just a view of the Alpha side. Again, you can kind of see the amount of fire damage at the front door on the front side of the house, and then the opening into the second floor.
All right. And slide 10.
This Alpha Delta corner, You can see there's a hose line going into the second floor from the outside, and you can see a firefighter down by the door on the Delta side.
Now, when you went in, did you actually go into the house yourself?
Eventually, later on in the incident.
All right. And so you were able then to see the insides of this house?
Correct.
And then slide number 11, what is this?
That was the door previously referenced on the Delta side.
Okay. And do you, hold on, I can't see it. Above that door, it seems to be some discoloration between the door and the window where the fireman is standing.
Yes.
What is that?
It's heat damage. The aluminum's painted. As it gets warm, the paint starts to wear off. So you can kind of see a pretty sharp delineation where the heat plume came up and out. It may not have been active flame because everything has a temperature where it burns. 1 degree below that, it's still super hot. It's just not actually burning.
All right. And so why would we see a discoloration above the door as opposed to the left or the right of the door?
I mean, heat comes out and rises up. It kind of makes a weird pattern. Typically it would be a V-ish. There may have been some other factors in play here that kind of made it go to the left a little bit.
And now going to slide 12, what are we looking at here?
That would be the Charlie Delta corner, the right side in the back.
And slide 13?
That would be a close-up view of that side door and the hose line going into it.
All right. And inside there, what do we see? I see the hose, and there appears to be some steps.
Some steps. Again, if I had to guess, just based off my prior experience, you have steps to the left of the basement. You have about 3 or 4 steps up to a landing. You make a right, and you're going to end up in the kitchen.
All right. And slide 14?
That would be the kitchen.
Okay. Slide 15?
I'm not sure exactly where that'd be located in the structure, but that's the inside of it.
All right. And can you see over on the upper left corner? It appears that there's some.
Okay, so that would be, I believe, the house next door. So this would probably be the dining room then. So you would have made a right into the kitchen. If you made an immediate left, that would open up to this.
Okay. And slide 16?
This would be coming back around, making another left to the front living room area.
And slide 17?
Just kind of another picture of the living room. You can see the trucks in the front of the street. Or kind of.
Reflective lights?
Yeah.
Okay. Some kind of vehicle. And then slide 18?
Those would be the stairs going up to the second floor.
And Lieutenant Reedy, did you have the opportunity to go up these steps of this house?
We did toward later in the incident, checking for fire extension in the front bedrooms.
And when you were upstairs, were you able to see if there was anybody in the house?
Oh, I did. Look to the right into the bathroom. At that point, it was basically no one was allowed to go in there since there was an investigation going on.
All right. At that point in time, was there any life-saving measures?
Negative. That would have been probably 2 or 3 hours into the incident.
All right. And did you have any involvement with the removing of the people that were found?
No.
All the pictures that we've looked at, slides 1 through 18 of State's Exhibit number 37, do they accurately represent the scene as you saw it during that evening?
They do.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Mr. Riley?
We have no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Lieutenant, you're excused. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your next witness?
Yeah, Your Honor, the state's going to call Brad Barkhurst.
Can you talk about those timelines now?
Sure. Do you want to go to sidebar or do you want to have her?
Judge, we approach.
Sure. You are, at the appropriate time, are going to be given a packet of exhibits numbered 80 through 87. They are smaller versions of what are going to be placed up on a poster board that the next witness is going to testify to. Because you may have some problems seeing in the back and in the back row, and it's not going to be on your screen, you're going to be given these smaller copies. These are for demonstrative purposes only. You will not keep them. We will collect them at the end of this person's testimony. Everybody understand? Raise your hand if you do. Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Go ahead and have a seat. Once you're seated, if you'll remove your mask, keep your voice up, speak into the microphone.
Okay, sir, can you please state your full name, spell your last name for the record, please?
Bradley David Barkhurst, BradleyDavidBarkhurst.
And Mr. Barkhurst, can you tell the jury where it is you're employed?
I'm employed with the State of Ohio Fire Marshal's Office, Forensic Laboratory,
And where is that located?
Reynoldsburg, Ohio.
And what do you do for the Ohio State Fire Marshal's Forensic Laboratory?
I'm a forensic specialist supervisor.
Okay. And very generally, can you tell the jury what a forensic specialist supervisor does for the Ohio State Fire Marshal's Office? And sir, could you, that screen that's next to you, could you push that back just a little bit? There you go, that way everyone can see it. Thank you.
Digital evidence is submitted to us, primarily audio and video recordings, video of a crime or a fire submitted to me. I review the video. I put together video presentations of my observations. I do video clarification, so if video needs to be brightened or contrast adjusted or sharpened, I'll do that and write a report.
Now, what do you do as the supervisor? What do your duties entail as a supervisor for this section at the Ohio State Fire Marshal's Office?
There is one other audio video person that works under me. Right now I've been training that person, and also I'm over an evidence technician that checks in and out evidence.
How long have you been a forensic specialist supervisor for the Ohio State Fire Marshal?
Around 4 years.
And before you work for the Ohio State Fire Marshal, can you tell the jury where else you have been employed?
I worked just over 10 years at the Ohio Attorney General's Office, Ohio Organized Crime Investigations Commission.
What did you do for them?
Forensic audio video analyst.
What is the Ohio Organized Crime Investigations Commission? What did they do?
Well, they primarily run task force investigations around the state of Ohio, but they also do audio video analysis.
How long did you work for them?
Just over 10 years.
What type of education did you obtain that enabled you to become a forensic specialist supervisor with the Ohio State Fire Marshal and the Ohio Organized Crime Commission?
Well, I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in electronic media from the University of Cincinnati, which is audio video production. I also have a special training with the Law Enforcement and Emergency Services Video Association. I have their forensic video analyst certification, as well as I have a forensic video certification with the International Association of Identification.
Do you undergo any continuing education or training in your role as a forensic specialist supervisor in the video or digital forensics section?
Yes.
And describe that for us. Describe your continuing education.
I attend conferences, webinars.
Are you a member of any professional organizations?
Yes.
Which ones?
The Law Enforcement and Emergency Services Video Association, the International Association of Identification, and the High Tech Crimes Investigation Association.
Have you ever been involved in teaching in this area of forensic digital analysis?
Yes.
And when? When would you do that?
I presented 2 presentations last year at the Law Enforcement Emergency Services Video Association Symposium. I've done presentations for judges and prosecutors.
Have you ever testified in court as an expert in the area of digital forensics or forensic video analysis?
Yes,
And approximately how many times?
around 10.
Okay. Now, what is forensic video analysis that you've described? Just generally tell us what that is.
Well, the definition is a scientific examination, comparison, and/or evaluation of video in legal matters. But in layman's terms, it's basically reviewing video of a potential crime, making observations, writing a report, and making a video, potentially making a video presentation for court.
All right. Now, Mr. Barkhurst, I'd like to draw your attention to May of 2016. Do you recall that time frame?
Yes,
Were you working in your capacity as the supervisor for the digital forensic section of the Ohio State Marshal's office at that time?
no.
And where were you working at that point?
I was working for the Ohio Attorney General's office.
Okay. Did you become involved in this case that we're here about today while you were still working at the Ohio Attorney General's office?
Yes,
And at some point, did you change employment status?
yes,
And where did you go then?
to the State Fire Marshal's office.
Did you stay involved in this case at that time?
Yes,
Were you asked to work on some items submitted by investigator Brian Peterman and other investigators with the Ohio State Fire Marshal's office?
yes.
What were those items?
One was a video recorder
Okay.
and also some digital media of video.
Okay. And we're going to strictly talk to you today, Mr. Barkhurst, about the incident at 719 Fultz that happened in 2016, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Barkhurst, I'm handing you a package that has previously been marked and identified as State's Exhibit number 35. Can you take a minute to look at that? Let me know when you're finished.
Okay.
And what are these discs here that I'm showing you from State's Exhibit number 35?
It is DVDs, contain surveillance footage recovered from 714 Fultz Street on April 18, 2016.
Okay. And are these part of the discs that you had a chance to work on in preparation for this case?
Yes.
All right. I'm handing you another, it's like a box, and inside of the box it has what we would call a hard drive. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. It's marked as State's Exhibit number 64. Do you know what's on this disc? Or this hard drive, excuse me.
Videos of 2016 fire.
Okay. And are they from 719 Fultz?
Yes.
Now, you indicated that you had analyzed a DVR system in the case that was given to you. Did you recall that?
Yes.
All right. And describe its condition to the jury.
Damaged.
Okay. And how so?
There was, it was burnt, melted, and there was a hard drive in it.
Okay. And were you able to get any information off of this burnt, damaged hard drive?
Yes.
And that information that you got from that burnt, damaged hard drive from 719 Fultz, were you able to put that on State's Exhibit number 64?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Barkhurst, eventually were you asked to put together what you would call a video and narrative presentation for the viewing of a jury or for law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay. Now, who asked you to do that?
Originally, it was, well, it would be the Brian Peterman in
Okay.
the State Fire Marshal's office.
Okay. Now, generally, can you tell the jury what is a video presentation?
Video presentation is video from a crime, or in our case, a fire. I work in the fire marshal's office. Putting that together to view for investigators or a jury.
Okay. And then what's a narrative presentation? Tell us about that.
A narrative presentation is where I'll take photos of the event and walk through my observations.
Okay. And how long generally does it take to put together a video and narrative presentation in a case?
It just depends on the amount of video and duration and what I'm pointing out.
All right. Generally, can you tell the jury how many hours of video did you watch for the video that was obtained from 714 Fultz as shown in State's Exhibit 35?
Stacy.
714 Fultz.
I know that the video I reviewed was around 10 p.m. until around 3:30 the next morning. I don't know all the durations of all the video clips, but I know that there were over 100 files.
Okay. And the video from 719 Fultz that's on State's Exhibit number 64 that you got from that badly damaged DVR system, Mr. Barkhurst, approximately how many hours of that did you watch?
Can you answer the last question to me, please? May you repeat that? So
You mean the one earlier about 714 Fultz?
correct.
Okay. Did you watch the video in State's Exhibit number 35 from 714 Fultz?
Yes.
And approximately how many hours of that did you watch?
There was over 6 hours, at least.
Okay. Did you watch all of that?
Yes.
And then the video from 719 Fultz that's on State's Exhibit number 64. Approximately how many hours of that did you watch?
Again, I don't know the exact time, but I did look at the time frame of 10 p.m. to around 3:30 in the morning. Over 100 video clips.
Okay. So you spent a lot of time looking at the video from both of these fires, or both of
Yes.
these video systems.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Barkhurst, I'm going to talk to you about the video system from 719 Fultz, okay? This is the badly damaged video hard drive that you were able to download. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the settings were for how long that video system was supposed to record?
No.
Okay, and why don't you know that?
Typically, that I have to access the video recorder menus on that, and it's too damaged for me to do so.
Okay. And does the video system from 719 Fultz have an overwrite feature?
I don't know,
Okay, and why don't you know that?
because I can't look in the menu of the video recorder.
Is there anything else that would lead you to believe that there was an overwrite system in the video from 719 Fultz?
It's not unusual for video recorders to have an overwrite feature.
Do you know if that video system from 719 Fultz was motion activated?
I don't know.
Okay, and is that again in the settings where you would tell that?
Correct.
And that was too badly damaged?
Correct.
And is there anything that would make you believe that this video system from 719 Fultz was motion activated?
Yes.
And tell the jury why you believe that.
Because there are many video clips on it. Some are short, some are long, and it's spread out over the time of recording, which is common with motion detection recorders.
Okay, so it's based on what you were reviewing, it was consistent with motion activation.
Correct.
Now, when you retrieved the video from the badly damaged DVR system from 719 Fultz and put it onto State's Exhibit number 64, did you alter that video in any way?
No.
Now I'm going to talk to you about the video system from 714 Fultz, okay? That's on State's Exhibit number 35.
Okay.
Can you tell the jury if the system from 714 Fultz overwrites itself or tapes over itself at a certain point?
I don't know,
Okay. And why don't you know?
because I didn't see the menus on that recorder.
Okay. You didn't have it at that time, that DVR system from 714 Fultz, to be able to look at the settings.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Barkhurst, can you tell the jury if you know that if that video from 714 Fultz is motion activated?
I don't know.
Okay. And is that in the settings also?
Yes.
Is there anything that you could tell from the video and watching from 714 Fultz as to whether or not you could tell if it was motion activated?
Again, the video clips of various lengths, some short, some long, spread out the different video clips, so which is consistent with motion activated recorders.
So what you saw on State's Exhibit number 35 was consistent with motion activation?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Barkhurst, did you using these videos, put together a video and narrative presentation in this case?
Yes.
And did you use any outside sources of information when putting together the video and narrative presentation?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what outside sources of information you used?
A 911 call, a time, date check provided by the Akron Police Department. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Alarm.com records, Google Earth.
Okay. Do you use any maps? Is that the Google Earth stuff?
Yes, from Google Earth.
Okay. Now, Mr. Barkhurst, I'd like to review your narrative report first, and then we'll do the video presentation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Barkhurst, you're going to see in the screen next to you Mr. Barkhurst, do you see that screen there, the first screen in this exhibit?
Yes.
All right. And this is going to be State's Exhibit number 65. Can you tell the jury what State's Exhibit number 65 is?
This is the narrative report that I produced.
Okay. And have you viewed this narrative report prior to coming into court today?
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the narrative report that you put together for the fire that occurred on April 18th of 2016?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, the narrative report breaks down the video presentation. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to move to slide 2 here. Can you tell the jury what you're looking at here on State's Exhibit number 65, slide 2?
That's a photo of Google Earth.
Okay, and what area is this?
Around where the fire occurred.
Have you personally been out to this location and viewed it?
Yes.
All right, and clicking a couple slides here, can you tell the jury what they're observing?
The addresses and houses around where the fire occurred and the house where the fire occurred.
Okay. When you went and visited this area, was 719 Fultz there?
No.
But does this map fairly and accurately depict the area that you observed when you went out and viewed it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Barkhurst, I am directing your attention to this slide here in your narrative presentation. It says general directions cameras are facing. What is the jury? What are you showing the jury here?
Basically, we're location on the house where the cameras are and the direction they're pointing and what's on that video.
Okay, in this first slide here, what camera are you pointing out?
Camera 3.
Okay, and then what is that picture there in the corner?
That's basically a thumbnail from camera 3. It's a thumbnail from camera 3.
Mr. Barkhurst, I'm showing you two photographs. Been marked for identification purposes. Is State's Exhibit 4A and State's Exhibit number 10. Please take a minute and look at those. Let me know when you're finished.
Okay?
Okay, in State's Exhibit number 4A, and we're going to put this on the document camera, but do you see cameras on this 4A?
Yes.
Okay, and is one of them marked camera 3?
Yes.
All right, and then State's Exhibit number 10, can you tell the jury what generally this shows?
Camera 3.
Camera 3, this is the view from camera 3.
Yes.
Mr. Barkhurst, you see I'm putting State's Exhibit number 4A up on the screen?
Okay?
Yep. And what number camera am I circling there with my finger pointing to?
Camera 3.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit number 10. Tell the jury what is this exactly? What is it showing?
Camera 3.
Okay. And that is the view actually from the camera. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Back to your narrative presentation here, Mr. Barkhurst. I'd like to talk to you next about this next slide. This has camera 3 and its view on there, but it has another camera. Is that fair?
Yes.
Tell the jury what that is.
Camera 4.
All right. And it shows, what does the line represent? You have that for camera 3 and 4. What does that line show?
The direction camera 4 is pointing towards.
Okay. And then what is this little thumbnail here in the corner?
Camera 4.
And that's the view from the camera?
Yes.
Mr. Barkhurst, I'm going to show you 3 photographs marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 5A, 11, and 6. Take a minute to look at those. Let me know when you're finished, okay?
Okay.
Are you finished or?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Just very generally tell the jury what these documents show.
Camera 4.
Okay? Mr. Barkhurst, I'm showing on the document camera what's been previously marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 5A. Can you tell the jury what this photograph shows?
Camera 4.
Actually, camera 4, right?
It's camera 4, and again, I wasn't there in 2016, so
Okay. And then I'm showing you on the document camera State's Exhibit number 11. Tell the jury what they're looking at here.
that's camera 4.
Okay. This is a view from camera 4.
Yes.
And we know that too from this area down in here where it says camera 4. Is that fair?
Yes.
I'm showing you another document that's been marked for identification purposes and previously identified as State's Exhibit number 6. Is this a view from the porch there at 714?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Barkhurst, I'm going to draw your attention back to the narrative presentation. Another camera has come up here. Tell the jury where that's from and what the thumbnail shows.
That's from 719 Fulton Street.
What does the thumbnail show?
Channel 4.
Channel 4 from 719 volts.
Yes, and the general direction is facing.
And that's what the arrow is depicting.
Yes.
Mr. Barkhurst, I'm showing you 3 photographs marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibits 27, 28, and 56. Please take a minute to look at those. Let me know when you're finished.
Okay.
And Mr. Barkhurst, very generally, we're going to go over them individually. Can you tell the jury what you're seeing here in these series of photographs?
May I see the photographs?
Yeah, sure.
So I see a camera on Exhibit State 8.
Or what number?
I see a camera on Exhibit State 27
Okay.
and Exhibit 28.
All right. And then what do you see there on State's Exhibit 56?
Camera 4 and Google Earth.
Okay. Okay. Putting on the document camera, State's Exhibit number 27 has been previously identified. What do you see in this photograph, Mr. Barkhurst?
Camera,
Okay. And that is up in this area, is that fair?
yes.
All right. And State's Exhibit number 28, what do you see in this photo?
Camera,
Okay. And then State's Exhibit 56, specifically, I'm going to direct your attention to this area here, this view here. What is that?
Channel 4 from 719 volts and Google Earth.
Okay. So this is the view from Channel 4.
Yes.
Mr. Barkhurst, we're going to move on to the next slide here. What is this slide? And very generally tell the jury what you're describing.
So, provide the fire engine arrival time from Akron Fire Department, 3:44:43 a.m. on April 18, 2016. And then on camera 4 video from 714 Fulton Street, fire engine is visible at the date time stamp of 17/04/2016 at 23:49. Based on this information, the video date timestamp from 714 Fulton Street is approximately 3 hours and 55 minutes behind the actual time.
Mr. Barkhurst, generally tell the jury why you're doing this and why you're describing this information in this slide.
Well, for video cases, it's not unusual to have the date timestamp incorrect. So, if possible, we try to get information that can help determine what that timestamp on the video is versus actual time to come up with a time date offset.
Okay, so you're trying to verify what the actual time is.
Yes.
All right. We move on to the next slide here. I believe it's slide 11. Tell the jury what this slide shows.
That is a photo of what I call a time date offset check. So the Akron Police Department conducted a date time offset check in the video recorder from 714 Fulton Street At the time it checked, the recorder was approximately 3 hours and 55 minutes behind the actual time.
Okay, so another way of verifying the time.
Yes,
3 hours, so 7:14 volts is 3 hours and 55 minutes behind the actual time.
yes.
Mr. Barkhurst, tell the jury what this slide depicts and why are you putting it in there?
Because I was provided information from alarm.com about the alarm date time information.
Okay, so you provided that information and you've inserted that into your presentation.
Yes.
Judge, I object.
Your objection's noted, overruled. You may proceed.
And Mr. Barkhurst, you indicated that you had been out to this area and have viewed the scene or the area of where this fire had occurred.
Yes.
I'm showing you a series of photographs that have been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 67 through 79. Sir, can you please take a minute to look at those? Let me know when you're finished. Now we're going to go over these photographs more in depthly, but Mr. Barkhurst, can you generally tell the jury what these photographs represent?
Those photographs are of 1374 Hillcrest Street.
Okay. And are they of another residence also?
Yes.
Okay. And which other residence or address is that referencing this map?
1374 Hillcrest Street.
Okay. Do you also see 1370 Hillcrest in there?
Yes.
All right. And you said you've been out to the scene, viewed them. Do these photographs fairly and accurately reflect the outside of 1374 and 1370 Hillcrest?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Barkhurst, you see your document camera there? First photo I'm going to put up, I think we can zoom in here. Can you very generally tell us what house or address this shows? And this is State's Exhibit number 67.
That's 1370 Hillcrest.
Okay. State's Exhibit number 68. Can you tell us about this photograph?
That's 1370 Hillcrest.
And this is the side?
Yes.
Okay. And we note here there are two doors on the side of 1370 Hillcrest.
Yes.
State's Exhibit number 69. Can you tell us about this photograph?
That's 1370 Hillcrest.
Okay. And then
Sideboard.
there's a back area, like a overhang there, fair?
Yes.
State's Exhibit number 70. Do you see this photograph here?
Yes.
And tell the jury what this shows.
That's the rear of 1370 Hillcrest.
Okay. Now, what is this right there that I'm pointing to, this white building with a gray roof?
The garage.
A garage. And based on your going out there, do you know if there was an alleyway between the house and the garage, Mr. Barkhurst?
Yes.
Next, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 71. Can you tell the jury what this photograph shows?
That's 1374 Hillcrest.
All right. And on State's Exhibit number 71, what type of door is that on the front of 1374 Hillcrest?
The door has some metal or some object in front of the door.
Okay. So it's like a metal frame door, is that kind of what you're describing?
Yes.
And what's behind that? Based on your observations being out there.
The door handle.
Okay. What is behind the black area or the metal frame of the door?
That I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if there's glass there?
Objection.
Sustained.
Next, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 72, Mr. Barkhurst. Do you see this photograph?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you're looking at here.
That is in between 1374 Hillcrest and 1370 Hillcrest.
Okay. And is this the alleyway that you were previously describing here, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a pink house then, at least in this photograph, behind 1370 Hillcrest. Is that fair?
There's a house behind it. It's hard for me to determine color.
Determine the color. Okay. And then what is this over here in this general area underneath this light that I'm pointing to in State's Exhibit 72?
From that viewpoint, I can't tell if it's a window or a door.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 73. This may help. Can you see better now what's under this light area of 1374 Hillcrest?
Yes,
And what is that?
that's a door.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 74. Can you tell the jury what they're looking at here?
That's a door.
All right. And is this the same doorway that you had previously pointed to in State's Exhibit 73?
Yes.
Okay. Next, I'm going to show you another photograph. State's Exhibit number 75. Do you see this photograph up there, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And in State's Exhibit 75, what are we beginning to see here back on the back side of 1374 Hillcrest?
That's a door.
Okay. Is that door forward or backward sitting? Can you describe it for the jury?
It's behind the portion of the house.
Okay. All right, and I'll show it to you again here on State's Exhibit 76. Is that a better view?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you're observing here in this photograph.
A door.
Okay. And is this door that same door you were pointing to in State's Exhibit 75 here?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 77. What does this photograph show?
The back porch.
Back porch of what address was this again, sir?
That would be 1374 Hillcrest.
Okay. State's Exhibit number 78. Can you tell the jury what we're looking at in this photograph?
The back porch of 1374 Hillcrest.
And you can see that doorway. Is that fair too in that photo?
Yes.
Finally, State's Exhibit number 79. Tell the jury what is this showing?
That's the rear of 1374 Hillcrest.
Okay. All right. Back to your narrative presentation, Mr. Barkhurst. I'm going to move to the next slide here. And what is this slide telling us, and what are you trying to show?
So we have two different recorders, and so again, another way to determine offset between a time offset between the recorders is looking for what's called sync points. So that would be something that could be viewable on a camera from one recorder and a camera from the other recorder. So something that happens quickly that I can see occur on cameras from each recorder.
Okay, and we're going to go over those sync points here in a minute. But on this slide, you're telling us that based on the video sync points from 719 volts and 714 volts, the video recorder from 719 volts is 3 hours and 55 minutes ahead of the video from 714 volts. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And now what's that last sentence there tell the jury what you mean by that.
So the date timestamp from the 719 Fultz Street, that's going to be the master clock, or the time that you see on the video presentation and narrative.
Okay. And what is the master clock? What do you mean by that? Is that the one you're going to use primarily?
Yes, it's more based on the information I provide. It's more accurate than the other recorder at 714 Fultz Street.
Okay. Still 3 hours and 55-minute difference.
Correct.
All right. What is this slide? This says sync point 1. Tell the jury what this shows, what you're showing us in this slide.
So when you watch the video from 719 Fultz Street, there's a light flash at the date time of 4/18/2016 at 3:15:17 a.m. And then again, you see that light flash for the video from 714 Fultz Street, a date timestamp of 4/17/2016, 23/2014. So this is the sync point, one of the sync points I'm referring to. So the video from 719 Fultz Street is 3 hours, 55 minutes, and in this case, 3 seconds ahead of the video from 714 Fultz Street.
In 714, based on those video verifications that you went over earlier, 714 Fultz is 3 hours and 55 minutes off of regular time. Is that fair?
Yes.
Next slide, it says sync point 2. Can you tell the jury what they're looking at here?
You're looking at video from 719 Fultz Street. It's another sync point, so it's initial flash of light seen on the video recorder from 719 Fultz Street and the video recorder from 714 Fultz Street. And so the video from 719 Fultz Street, the date timestamp is 4/18/2016, 3:26:09 a.m. On video from 714 Fultz Street, date timestamp is 4/17/2016, 23:31:06. So at this sync point, the video from 719 Fultz Street is 3 hours, 55 minutes, and 3 seconds ahead of the video for 714 Fultz Street.
All right. We have another sync point here, number 3. Tell the jury about this.
So again, that's initial light flash from video from 719 Fultz Street, date timestamp 4/18/2016 at 3:34:20 a.m. And then from video from 714 Fultz Street, date timestamp 4/17/2016, 23:39:17. And video from 719 Fultz Street is 3 hours, 55 minutes, and 3 seconds ahead of the video from 714 Fultz Street.
All right, so just 3 sync points there that you used.
Yes.
Now, as we start your narrative presentation into the meat of it, Mr. Barkhurst, can you tell the jury what types of things you are going to be noting here in the narrative presentation and then later in the video presentation? What types of things are you noting?
So those are observations that I've observed on the video from 719 Fultz Street and 714 Fultz Street, along with photos from Google Earth to help show what the camera's pointing at during the daytime.
All right, so...
Mr. D'Angelo, I don't want to interrupt, but we all come to sidebar for a second.
Sure.
Thank you.
Because we got a late start this morning, it's now 11:30. I thought about just doing a break, but then by the time we come back, then it's going to be time to have lunch. So we're just going to take an early lunch. It's 11:30. We're going to go till 12:30. So if you'll be back in the jury room at 12:30, remember the admonition I've given you at all breaks. It's important that you be fair and attentive throughout the trial. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. This includes your family, friends, and the media. You must not post or read anything about this case on the internet or any electronic device, including your cell phone. Any such discussion, if discovered, could lead to a mistrial and would severely compromise the party's right to a fair trial. Do not permit anyone to discuss it with you or in your presence, and do not form or express an opinion on this case until it's finally been submitted to you. All right, we're adjourned.
All right, please, you know, catch face on the chair.